So why is this an important political issue for students? And given the current financial crisis, why is it particularly important?
Well, it's crucial for students because whatever happens is going to happen over the long run. The damage that the legislation will do, this cap and trade idea, this idea of limiting our carbon footprint. Just think about for a second about what this idea of limiting your carbon footprint is. Every time you exhale, that is CO2. You have a carbon footprint because you're alive. Now, the only way to eliminate your carbon footprint is literally to die. And I think even when you're dead, the decaying process emits some greenhouse gases. You have to be decayed, finished. That's what the environmentalists are ultimately advocating for, right? Zero carbon footprint, but that's death. So clearly it impacts everybody. But the whole idea of limiting our carbon footprint is an idea of limiting human life, limiting human potential, limiting our consumption of energy. And that has unbelievably disastrous consequences long-term for you students who are still young, who hopefully are going to live to be 100, maybe, if science is allowed to develop 150, 200, the limit, the scientific limit there, who knows what the scientific limit there in terms of how old you'll be able to live successfully is. You want to be able to maximize your carbon footprint, not to minimize it. You want to be able to live well. You want to be able to continue to enjoy the cheap energy that we have today. You want to be able to continue to enjoy your life, which involves at every level the production of carbon dioxide. So, you have a vested interest in not seeing these laws and these regulations that are going to limit your ability to pursue your happiness, your life into the future. And then if you add on that the fact that we're in a financial crisis, economic crisis right now, which really requires more freedom, less government involvement, less regulations, less constraint on business, more adaptability in the marketplace. And now we're going to add a massive tax, which is going to cost trillions of dollars. We're going to add massive amounts of regulations. We're going to make the consumption of energy much, much more expensive. This could be a devastating, or will be, if it's passed, a devastating blow to the U.S. economy and could lead us into a real depression, and a depression that could last a long time because once these laws are passed, it's very, very difficult to reverse them. So there are short-term consequences in terms of the current economic crisis, and there are disastrous long-term consequences to any kind of legislation that tries to place a cap, a limit on one's so-called carbon footprint. So yes, all of you have if you care about your happiness, if you care about your life, if you care about your prosperity in the future, you should really, really care about the issue of climate change and what the government might do to try to constrain carbon production.
How can students make an impact?
Well, I think the first thing that students can do, or the most important thing that students do, is speak up. Today, this idea of climate change, or notice even the word climate change is an attempt to hedge, because they used to call it global warming, but they're not sure it's warming anymore. It might be cooling, so climate change kind of hedges. No matter what happens to the climate, it always changes, and they always get to say it was, they predicted it. But the whole idea behind global warming is that it's become a universal truth. Everybody accepts it. Nobody challenges it. The first and most important thing you got to do is say, I don't think the Earth is warming. I don't think there's real science behind this. There are plenty of really good scientists who are challenging this, and you can find a lot of information on our website, but there are plenty of other websites. I strongly recommend the Heartland Institute in Chicago, which is a free market think tank that is specialized on issues of global warming and climate change. And they have tons and tons of references where you can find out information about just the facts, the scientists who are challenging, who are skeptical, who doubt this whole idea of climate change. And many of these scientists call themselves climate change skeptics or global warming skeptics. Some, and I think more appropriately, call themselves climate change or global warming realists, because they have reality on their side. They are the true realists. So speak up. When somebody talks about global warming, say, I don't think there is global warming, or I don't think global warming, man-made global warming has been proven, or there's really any evidence to suggest there's man-made global warming. And then when they want all these prescriptions, when they want government involvement and so on, speak up and say, the best prescription for any catastrophic event, whether it's an earthquake or global warming, if it ever happens, or or tsunami, is freedom and capitalism. I mean, compare what happens even in Katrina in New Orleans. Compare the casualties in Katrina and the devastation in Katrina to an equally powerful hurricane hitting less developed countries, less free countries, less capitalist countries. You get earthquakes in places like Africa and Asia, in Turkey and even South America. Tens of thousands of people die. And as devastating as Katrina was, it doesn't match the catastrophic loss that occurs in these other countries. Why? Because in America we have capitalism, we are free, we have better infrastructure, not because the government has provided us better infrastructure, but because capitalism has provided us with the wealth to create that better infrastructure. We have better medical care, we have better construction, we have the ability. The first people to help out the victims in Katrina was Walmart. Walmart was opening stores well before FEMA got there. Again, that's capitalist, the ability to innovate, the ability to adapt, the ability to respond quickly is part of capitalism's virtue. So the last thing you want to do if you believe in any catastrophic event in the future is restrain capitalism in any way. So there are going to be catastrophes in the future. They're going to be, there could be a tsunami in California, an earthquake in California, fires, or any of these things. And the remedy to that is not more government controls and regulations and stifling of free enterprise. The remedy to that is more freedom, more capitalism, and an American economy and a population that can adjust to whatever catastrophic events might happen in the future. So if you just speak up on those issues, educate yourselves, speak up, and try to educate your fellow students, you will make an important and dramatic contribution to the debate over this issue and to trying to crush this idea of massive government regulation to solve a problem that doesn't really exist.